All right, Rob. We talked about it a bit yesterday, but we want to go there again because it really is interesting. Patrick Beverley, still a player in the NBA and plays for the Timberwolves in Minnesota. Outspoken, colorful, all that. Has been on First Take on ESPN with Stephen A. Smith these last 2 days, and he has been creating quite the buzz. And Rob, I just saw the ratings for Monday. They were high. Through the roof for First Take and Get Up. He was on Get Up as well before First Take. And here's what we want to. We're gonna throw it out to you guys because Rob and I are gonna talk about it.
Yeah,
but we want to hear your opinion about players, current and former players on television. Do you like it? Do you not? What do you want to hear from former players when they are on? And I'm gonna say this. Let me just quickly summarize, Rob. Yep. The Patrick Beverley, who I do think, Rob, if he plays his cards right, could have a big, bright future on the mic when he's done playing. I told you about the ratings. But he's really created a buzz and gotten a lot of love and hate for what he said about Chris Paul. He has ripped Chris Paul to shreds and tried to talk about basically like Chris Paul's not a great player. He said he's not an all-time great. He's, said he doesn't worry about playing against him, that nobody in the league worries about playing against him, that he called him a cone defensively, like, he's stationary, you go right by him. Never mind that Chris Paul's made 9 all-defensive teams, 3 times the amount that Patrick Beverley's made.
He's poured it on thick.
But here, and I'm going to say that, and look, I don't agree with Patrick Beverley's opinion of Chris Paul. I think Chris is definitely an all-time great point guard. He's got his faults, no doubt. We've been talking about it. But he is a great all-time point guard to me. But look, Beverley has that right, Rob. He can say what he wants. But here's where to me, Patrick Beverley's lost some credibility. He's killed Chris Paul, and yet when Stephen A. Smith and J.J. Redick have talked about James Harden, does he deserve the Supermax, which both of them say no. Stephen A., you could imagine, very adamant about it, and I agree. Yeah. No way he should get the Supermax or a long-term max contract. Patrick Beverley, who's friends with Harden, played with him in Houston, is sitting up there telling everybody that'll listen that James Harden should get the Supermax. And here's the problem. You might say, well, that's his opinion. Well, then give me your opinion. Give me something to back it up. Because he's saying is 22, 10, and 8. Those are his numbers, 22, 10, and 8. There's more to that. Those aren't great numbers for James Harden. Talk about his shooting percentage. Talk about what happened in the playoffs. Talk about how he's fallen off. You can't just throw out numbers at me and then sit there and say he should get the Supermax and give me no rationale. Rob, you and I talk about this. We've done this for years. We've done this for decades now.
Yep.
You can say whatever you want. If I want to argue that Scottie Pippen is better than Michael Jordan, that's ridiculous. But if I want to argue that, and I got something to back it up,
you have to be able to make a case. You got to be able to have a case.
Some logic, some facts, something to back it up. And if it could make good TV if you got something to back it up, even though it might be a ridiculous take. But Beverley's not backing it up. And to me, he's protecting a friend, and he's going at a guy that he doesn't like in Chris Paul. So to me, that's where you lose credibility.
And I'll say, this should come as no surprise when you put a guy like Patrick Beverley in this situation, Chris, because he's not going to be objective. He has skin in the game. He still competes against Chris Paul. And I understand. I mean, he's taking it to the nth degree and is over the top with it. Chris Paul's coming off a bad playoff performance. So if you can't rip a guy, then you can't rip him at all. It's not like Pat Beverley's on and they just won the NBA Finals. Okay, right. You know what I mean? So Chris, if you're going to go after him, here's your
but
opening.
He's even going beyond.
No, I know.
You're right.
I get that. I'm just saying, there's your opening,
right,
to be able to spew this. But my point is, and you just said it, I don't have a problem with guys in this field, Chris. I don't. I like a lot of the guys we've worked with over the years. We've been doing this, you just said it, for 2 decades, right?
Yep.
I started doing cold pizza in like 2005, 2006. That's almost 20 years ago, okay?
Yep.
And you were on that show too, Chris, so we've been doing it.
As soon as it started, I was on there. Yep.
So we've been doing it for a long time, and we've worked with a lot of athletes, a lot who I respect and I admire like them for what they do and what they say, but some no. And you just said the problem with having guys often, Chris, is they're already in bed with other people, with teammates, coaches, general managers, and people who have done right by them. They can't. No matter what you say, no matter what happens in front of them, they won't criticize them, Chris.
Right.
They won't make that case. You think Pat Beverley is going to give you an objective look at James Harden? No way, no how. You think he's going to give you an objective look at Chris Paul? No way, no how. And that's the difference. That's why, Chris, and we talk about it all the time, as much as people malign writers and guys who haven't played in the league or whatever, I think the fans respect the job that we do, and a lot of players do. Chris, I don't know if this happened to you. So many former players have come up to me after their playing days are over. They were mad at me, Chris, at the time. You know, when you're covering a team and doing stuff and having to write these columns or critical pieces, and they didn't like it. You know that. You have run-ins with Stephon Marbury and stuff, right? You know, when you covered the Knicks.
Yep.
I had it in Detroit with a lot of players. And after they retired, they go, dude, I get your job. I couldn't see it when I was in it. You know, like you just can't.
Which I
why
get.
is this guy?
Right.
Why
and
is this guy hating on us? Right.
They're young at that time, too.
He's always ripping us. F. Rob Parker. You know what I mean? And then you get out of it and you go, you know what? We were bad. We were.
We were 30 and 52.
Right. I mean, I don't know what I wanted you to write, but I don't get right. But at the time, and there's a time and a place, and we talk about it. Who's at the top of the food chain? Charles Barkley. Why? Not just because he was a great player, Chris. It ain't because he has the best X's and O's. It's not. He's brutally honest.
Right.
Even if it meant losing his friendship with Michael Jordan, saying he was one of the worst executives ever.
Yep.
Was his best friend.
Yep.
They don't have a good relationship anymore. I don't even know, Chris, if they have one.
No, you're right. And you and I, look, we had Kendrick Perkins on the show for an hour.
Yeah,
if not longer, and maybe more than once, right?
We had him a few times before he went to ESPN.
Came in. Yep. And I think Perk is great.
He's doing a good job.
I think he's doing a fantastic job. And one of the things we told him, Rob, was you got to say something. And it's not about, you got to rip people.
No, it's not about ripping somebody. No.
It's about just being truthful. And that means sometimes somebody's going to struggle and you got to say it. Somebody's going to be psyched out and you got to say it. Yep. Like that's what it is. And if you can't do that, then maybe the job's not for you, and that's fine. Go do something else. But for this job, if you get up there as a former player, Rob, and you just spout cliches, hey, and you just speak nice about everybody that you like, that you played for, that you played with, you're not going to last long in this business.
And we've seen a lot of people, Chris, come and go. Like they just had a cup of coffee and a sweet roll because they don't say anything.
Right. And you brought up a good point. And in some respect, I guess I'll blame Pat Bev because, like I said, he's just been too biased. One thing, Rob, we're objective. And we call it like we see it. And I think that's the best thing a player or former player or announcer can do is just be unbiased and, call it like you see it. Patrick Beverley, it is a tough spot if you're still a plaler.
It is, because you got skin in the game, Chris.
Yeah,
you do.
I mean, he's got 1 year left on his deal. If he was a free agent, that would affect it even more. How's he going to call a team out? He's not calling any teams out. He might want to play for that team. He's looking for another deal. And one thing he said about Harden today, Rob, and this really showed you what it was all about, because J.J. Redick, former player, who is doing a great job. Redick's a different story, Rob.
Right.
Redick is impressing you with his knowledge.
Right.
Now, that's not going to be – you're not going to end up like Kendrick Perkins or Stephen A. doing that. But you can be like Tim Legler, I think, is a great analyst.
Tim Legler's been doing it for a long time, and he's been good, and they have knowledge of the game.
Right, and that's what people are looking at like, wow, yeah, they're
you
giving
don't have
me
the
some
hard
insight.
opinions, right, but not hard opinions.
Right, so you can go either route. You can go, I'm giving you good analysis, insight that the average fan doesn't have. I'm taking you into the locker room, what it was like. You've never been there. I've been there on a Game 7. What's the coach say? What kind of pep talk? Or you can go opinion. And Beverley said this when they were talking about Harden, and Redick, to his credit, was like, look, you can't give him a supermax. And Beverley said, hold up, bro. I don't know if he said you part of the brotherhood or you were in the fraternity, something to that effect.
Right.
And he said, how would you feel if you were, about to get a contract or had just gotten a contract or whatever, and there was a player sitting up here saying you don't deserve it? Or you trying to get paid, and they were up here saying you shouldn't get this contract. That showed me, Rob. No. And again, you're a current player, so it's harder. You're in the fraternity. So, yeah, I get where you're coming from, but don't put yourself in that seat then. If they ask you about James Harden, then just say, look, guys, I ain't talking about nobody's money.
Right.
I'll tell you what I think about a player, this or that, but I'm still in the league. I'm not getting in anybody's pockets.
I'd rather hear that than you make a case when you know where it comes from. Right. When you know you can't be objective, and you're right. And I think that's it. That's not to say that there's not a place for former players and a place for what we do, Chris. And people can say, oh, you guys have narratives and agendas and whatnot. By far, if you asked and stacked up the difference between what we do and former athletes, please, it ain't even close.
We don't have the agendas.
We don't have those agendas. Yeah. And even you can say, well, Rob, you rip LeBron. But, Chris, when I talk about where he ranks as the all-time best player, where do I put him?
Best ever.
I'm not saying he's not in my top 10.
Right.
Am I right?
Right.
That's what I'm trying to say.
And to be honest, the guys that have most underestimated LeBron, I would say, are former
players. We saw it. That's what I'm saying.
Kenny Smith, Barkley, right.
And what was the other point we were talking about, Chris, where you said that's for later with LeBron. I was thinking about the other thing.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that's
all right. 877-99 on Fox, 877-996-6369. It's your turn to weigh in. What do you think about the ex-players, or even, Patrick Beverley, still a current player, and them getting in this business? What do you want to hear from them? Who do you like? What do you want to hear from an ex-athlete or a current athlete?
All right, let's kick it off with who's going to be our first caller? Eli in the Bay Area. You're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio.
Hey, what's up, fellas? How's it going? How y'all been?
Doing good.
Man.
How are you?
How about you?
Hey, doing well, man. Doing well. So, as far as the athletes, just objectivity. And, I think Kendrick Perkins had that issue in the beginning. You obviously see with, what's his name, with CP3 and then Harden, and being, completely opposite of opinions. And then even Isaiah Thomas, right? If you go back years past, MJ's the GOAT, then these things happen, and MJ's the worst, and we always have to say, well, because he played for Detroit, when I feel like after a while you kind of let that go. And my only other thing, because I tried to call in earlier, is the winners for the playoff, Luka, I would say, because of the questions if he could lead a team. The losers is any point guard that was compared to Steph of his generation. They all either missed the playoffs and didn't make it. They all played with another superstar, KD, everything else, and somehow Steph is still in there and the rest of them are not. Okay. So, yeah, just my two takes.
All right, a little home cooking from the Bay Area. All good.
Hey, facts, though.
Siraj in Pomona. You're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio.
What's going on, gentlemen? Big fan of the show.
Thank you.
I think that, when I hear these former players, the Kendrick Perkins, the J.J. Reddicks, I just want to hear the truth of, what goes on behind the scenes, what goes on in the locker room. And, if the truth hurts, then it hurts. And that's the reality. So I can't blame a guy like Pat Bev for coming out and saying what he's saying about CP3. Now, that's his opinion, and you see that when, he says one thing about CP3 and then the other thing about James Harden.
Right.
But, I like to hear that stuff. I like to hear the inside scoop because I'm not inside these locker rooms and knowing what's going on behind the scenes.
Let me ask you this. Does it matter to you what level the player was? Because some people have pushed back on Pat Bev. Like, you weren't that good. You ain't as good as CP3, so you can't – how dare you talk about him? Does that matter to you that, if a player wasn't that good, that he can criticize a better player?
It does matter. I'm going to take LeBron's word over someone like Pat Bev. But at the end of the day, Pat Bev's played against all these guys, and that's just his MO. He's gonna be very kind of adversarial and pushy. That's just how he his game on the court, and I would expect that's how he is off the court as well. So I take it for what it is.
All right, appreciate the call. Good insight. Appreciate that. Sam in Virginia, you're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What up?
Hey, how you guys doing? I dig the show.
Thank you.
Pat Bev, if he's pitching for a job after he gets through playing, I can appreciate that because you guys said the ratings are up. But objectivity, if you're gonna crush CP3, and he did have a bad playoff, you have to. It's not like Harden is in the finals, right? You have to.
That's
crush
the
him
thing.
too.
Yeah, come on.
He had a bad playoff too, right?
And if you know anything about sports at all, if you watch it even casually, you realize that you're spinning this, so controversy sells. I got that, but at least have some, validity to your statements. You can't. And CP3, how can he be a cone when he was defensive player 9 times, not 2 times, 9 times? It just It goes. You attack your. He's giving. He's attacking his own arguments with the facts.
Yeah, your point is well taken. And Rob, like we said, this is basically shock value right now.
Right.
Like that's why these ratings are way up. And again, I stand behind this. I think Patrick Beverley could have a nice career as an as a
but
broadcaster.
You can't.
Because right now this is hot, but if you keep doing that, people are going to be like, dude, you just protecting your boys and killing the guys.
Ask Kwame Brown, like Chris, like seriously.
Right, that was hot for a minute.
But after a while it runs out and people are like, okay, now what you got?
It's great that Pat Bev has the courage to go say what he wants. But you got to be objective. People can't think you carrying somebody's water.
No doubt.
Like Perkins, Rob. He got criticized. KD criticized Kendrick because they were former teammates.
That's what I'm saying.
Was like, yo, I got to be objective.
I'm doing my job, and that's what he does now. He doesn't play anymore. Al in North Carolina, Chris will squeeze him in as well. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What up, Al?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Doing good.
How you doing?
Good.
All right, so I want to start by saying this, right? And this is going to fall in line with everything I want to say. You guys, you got to get your flowers, man. You guys are doing something that's pretty much never been done in history. You got kids growing up now wanting to do what you guys do. Black kids in inner cities. You know what I'm saying? Rural areas or whatever.
That's
you guys
awesome.
are setting a new trend now.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That's new. And you should be congratulated for that. So you got these players out here. They're doing a great job. All the smoke guys, they're doing a great job. The knuckleheads guys, they're doing a great job. Magic Johnson used to do a great job. Isaiah Thomas used to do it. Well, he still does a great job.
He does it right.
Jalen Rose. You know what I'm saying? The problem with these players doing this is whenever you get pushback from guys with real credibility, journalists, writers, they always go to, oh, you never played before.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? You never played the game before. Right. You know what I'm saying? That's what they go to. You guys could easily do the same thing when they step into your arena. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's a cop-out when they do that. You know what I'm saying? Nowadays, anybody can get in front of a mic, man. You got so many people out here right now with their own podcasts. You can wake up and buy the equipment and you can start your own show. Or you could just sound good one time, like you guys are talking about Pat Bev. That's what Draymond did. You know what I'm saying? I got a lot to say, so you know what? I'm going to go on the volume, and I'm going to have my own show and say whatever it is I want to say. You guys don't really have the credibility.
Good stuff. Thank you, man. We appreciate it. And, Rob, we've said it. Saying, oh, you never played, you can't be critical, that's just the next step is, oh, you weren't an all-star. How can you say something? Oh, you never won a ring. How can you say something?
Right.
We
could go on
gotta
and
be
on.
Michael Jordan to be able to be critical of somebody?
Or you could say, you didn't go to Columbia Journalism School. What are you talking about?
Right.
If we did that. I used to say that, Chris, when guys would push back and they would say, well, you didn't play, you don't know. And I would say, and when was the last time you wrote a newspaper column for a top 10 paper in this country? And they'd say, well, I haven't. And I'm just saying, because, I would be like, I'm at a top 10 paper. And then I would say, so it's good. We're on equal footing. I don't know what you do, and you don't know what I do. How's that?
So don't be critical of me. Right.